Lane Kiffin fat shaming out here?
Yes.
Yes.
Fat shaming can be a good thing too. It actually can be positive peer pressure.
Yeah.
We have long heard about the infamous group chats, right? I mean, Lane Kiffin has talked about the group chats. And I just think, because Lane even had the detail about sometimes there's group chats within the group chats, something that is very relatable. I think Lane and Kirby are probably together. The Venn diagram crossover, like there might be one that Muschamp's not in. There might be like certain ones that you don't in, you have to go start a new one. I bet I was asked about that. I said, that's not anything that hasn't been said in the group chat already.
No, to his face. Yeah, absolutely.
Kirby's making fun of Lane for looking skinny.
Yep.
And Lane's
do your yoga poses.
Yeah, and Lane's making fun of Kirby for looking puffy. So these two, obviously, new wrinkle in the rivalry was Ole Miss 28, Georgia 10. One of the lowest scoring performances of the Kirby Smart era for Georgia's offense. And I want to start there because Georgia's offense did not look great against Auburn last week. Are we going to get, what should we expect from Gunnar Stockton and this Georgia offense as they go up against an Ole Miss defense that, for my money, is not on the same level as last year's Ole Miss defense, but still talented enough that it can provide some resistance to a group that hasn't always been in sync?
I mean, I don't trust either quarterback in this game.
No Trinidad trust?
Not really. Okay. Not in like a spot like this.
This is his first road game.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like it's hard for me to really buy in that he's going to play very well. I think that when you look at the matchup, he has better weapons around him in the passing game, I feel like, than Georgia does. Like, I think Georgia has talent at those positions, but I just feel like they're more gadgety guys than they are go down the field and make plays guys, which I think Ole Miss has. I think both of them can move, but I also feel like Gunnar is far more chaotic. Like, there's a lot, like when Georgia's on offense and Gunnar drops back, there's like, and I'm not rooting for either team, but there's kind of like a sense of, oh God, what's going to happen when I see it going on? And then he'll scramble, he'll do some weird stuff. He'll take, like, he loves throwing deep shots down the sideline if he sees one-on-one coverage, no matter what. I feel like, okay, I already know where he's going with the ball because it's just the one thing he does. I don't know how good either offense is, and Georgia's offense struggled against Auburn, yeah, but every offense is struggling against Auburn. Auburn's defense is really good, so I don't really hold that against them. For me, it's just a bigger picture for this Georgia offense. They had the 44 points against Tennessee, but other than that, I haven't really been ultra impressed by anything that I have seen. Ole Miss, like last week, they weren't as bad as the score looks. They put up 24 on Washington State. Like, if you look at the success rate, they were still very good. They just had sloppy plays. They didn't finish drives in the red zone. But you're going up against Georgia's defense, which we've talked about. The pass rush is not great, but I don't think Ole Miss's offensive line is all that great in pass protection either. So it's going to be a real kind of who finally has a good day kind of game. Yeah, Ole Miss's offensive line or Georgia's defensive line as far as pass rush is concerned. Then the other thing with Ole Miss is they turn the ball over a lot, man. They have a turnover rate of 11.4%. That ranks 95th in the country. You can't go on the road against Georgia and turn the ball over and expect to have a good day. So this is a really interesting game to me because I feel like in prior years, even though Georgia lost, like I always had a good feeling like, okay, Georgia's going to win this game. I don't have that feeling. And Ole Miss is a team that just confounds me and has all season long because they keep winning and I keep watching them and I'm like, yeah, they're good. I don't think they're great, but they keep winning. So maybe I'm just an idiot.
I think this is a game Georgia leans on their run game more than most games. It's probably a game where it's maybe not the prettiest. I could see some Georgia fans getting upset at the play calling. Why are we throwing it? Or why are we throwing it sideways? Why aren't we taking more shots down the field? But Ole Miss doesn't have some of the guys up front that they had last year. And I don't think they're as strong in order to go on the road and go toe-to-toe. What I do think, because I do think Georgia will score against Ole Miss. What I do think is interesting is this a game where Trinidad Chambliss and the Ole Miss offense steps up and they're able to get into, like, if Ole Miss wins, I think it'll be more of a shootout. It'd be a higher scoring game. But I have a feeling Georgia's going to just kind of do that thing where they squeeze the life out of you. They get it to the fourth quarter, and they pull away with a touchdown or a field goal late, and they kind of just take control of the time of possession. They have some frustrating, offensive drives where you have forced Ole Miss to field goals. I just feel like this will be a game where Georgia's physicality finally comes to the forefront, which it really hasn't been as dominant as it's been, in years past. It's the one thing they've been lacking. But I think they'll be able to kind of lean on Ole Miss in this game.
And do you guys really believe in Ole Miss's ability to put together long drives here?
No.
Because
the only thing I will say is that Trinidad Chambliss, his legs, he is a pretty good runner, and that's always a great neutralizer. Like, again, that's why I do think they could score, and it could be a little higher scoring, which makes Georgia fans pretty nervous if that happens.
Because if you look at Georgia's defense, they rank 7th in explosive rate allowed. And we all know how much Ole Miss and Lane like to dial up some big shots. It's like, if they're not able to hit them, I don't know that Ole Miss will be able to have much success moving the ball.
Remember we joked about the sliding doors. If the ball doesn't get punched out, this, that, or the other. But when Auburn was knocking on the door of a 17-0 lead, it wasn't because Jackson Arnold was like tearing them up through the air. He was, getting it done with his legs a little bit. And the vibes related post-mortem with the sort of Auburn analysis of this team doesn't really know how to win. I think Ole Miss probably might have a little bit of a better idea of how to beat this team that they beat 28-10 last year. I think that, we talk about X factors. I think Trinidad Chambliss on the 3rd and 8 is a huge X factor. When Georgia dials up some pressure, the coverage is back to the quarterback, and he can just go get that first down and be able to extend it. So that's a spot where if Trinidad Chambliss, he might be the reason they win. He could also be the reason they lose if he ends up getting sloppy with the football, because especially playing at home, I could see Georgia being able to really feast if Ole Miss does get in there and turn the ball over.
For what it's worth, you mentioned Jackson was able to keep it going with his legs last week. I think that's just been the game plan for everybody facing Auburn. Like, we even saw it going back to the Baylor game, where it's like, we're going to take away these receivers because these receivers are extremely dangerous.
Okay.
And if Arnold wants to scramble, we're going to let him scramble because we don't think he can beat us in the red zone. We don't think he's going to be able to make the plays. Like, when the field gets shorter, he won't have as much scrambling room, and we don't think he can make the throws. And I think that was definitely part of it. And obviously, Georgia also benefited from, the refs being on their defense on one of those red zone possessions.
Everybody clap your hands.
Clap, 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 clap.
Anything else from this one before we hit a break and turn our attention to Provo?
No.
If Georgia loses, crisis of confidence. We're going to be we're going to be doing some vibe checks with our Georgia friends, because this is not what the Bulldogs are used to. Georgia wins, then you're like, you probably don't feel better, right? But that's one where I'm looking at, because the Alabama game was at home and they lost close. Don't have two close losses at home to SEC opponents before we even get to the end of October.
If George, so I think there's two really good teams in the SEC. I think it's Texas A&M and it's Bama. And I think there's a bunch of okay teams. And I think Georgia's in that okay category. I think Ole Miss is in that okay category. And whoever wins, if Ole Miss goes in there, I think you start saying, all right, Ole Miss is getting really close to that top tier. And I do think if Georgia wins this game, they're getting closer. I don't know if I would put them in there because they are supposed to win this game. It is at home. So I think that's the only thing we'll learn is who's one step closer. I still don't know if I look at Georgia and I say, wow, they're going to be right there knocking on Alabama's door just yet.
But the thing is they have the raw talent to be in the top tier. The performance, objectively, the performance has not met expectations given the talent on that roster.
Right. But if Ole Miss wins this game, I think you have to start looking at them taken very seriously as one of those elite teams.
I mean, it would be
A
impressive.
road win in Athens.
Let's see
what
would, and if I remember correctly,
they only have Oklahoma and is that next?
Yeah, I was gaming out the rest of the schedule.
If they split these next two games, they're probably in the playoff, barring a slip up, which I guess we can't really trust them.
Yeah.
An Egg Bowl, classic rivalry slip up. But if they're 10-2, they still could probably slip up and get in the playoffs at 10-2, as long as they split one of these two.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And yeah, look, I understand. We've done a lot of sliding doors. We've done a lot of ifs, ands, and buts. The Georgia-Alabama game was very close. How are we saying that Alabama is in this tier and Georgia is not? I'm not looking at that one data point as much as the entire season. Right. I just think Georgia has – how about this? Good news, Georgia has yet to unlock its full potential. Bad news, time's running out. So now would be a great time to be able to hit that next gear. Of course, they've got another off week coming up in advance of the rivalry game against the Gators.